Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest contradictions of our time, really.
Right.
It's this explosive, undeniable promise of AI innovation. But it's running headfirst into the brutal reality of AI weaponized fraud.
Exactly. And our mission today is to understand that fragile nature of trust.
Why do we keep falling for these things?
Yeah.
And how has technology basically turned these old school scams into, well, automated trillion-dollar threats?
It's created an environment that's just full of anxiety and excitement at the same time. I mean, you look at the financials. The numbers are just staggering.
Like what?
Well, the chip giant NVIDIA, which is really the engine behind so much of this boom,
Right.
their revenue jumped 62%
62.
to $57 billion in just 3 months.
Wow. I mean, that's the very definition of a runaway success, isn't it?
It is. It's disruptive.
Absolutely. There's a full-on tech gold rush. But then you look a little closer and you see the stocks are sliding. There are these investor jitters that just won't go away. And there's this lingering question over the whole trillion-dollar AI race.
Yeah.
Is this whole thing sustainable? Or is it a bubble that's about to burst because, society just can't keep up?
And that instability, that contradiction you're talking about, between the tech leaps and the fear, that's the perfect ecosystem for scammers.
Exactly. And to set the stage for you, our listener, we kind of need to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's something our source material brings up. The fact that this entire conversation, this fluent, coherent narrative you're hearing from us right now.
It could have been generated by AI.
Completely. And if the tech is good enough to deliver a compelling deep dive like this one, how easily can a criminal generate a scam? One that's designed to pull millions from a company or, just drain your personal savings.
That's the hook.
That's the hook we're pulling on today.
It really forces you to stop and question the authenticity of everything you hear and see, not just what you read anymore.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start by grounding ourselves in a bit of history.
Good idea.
We have to look at how the masters of deception operated before any of this tech existed, before deepfakes, before voice cloning.
Focusing on those core human vulnerabilities they exploited.
Because the blueprint for fraud hasn't really changed in 100 years. It's just the speed and the scale that have shifted.
That's exactly right. If you can understand the psychology that made a classic con man successful, you have the decoder ring for why a deepfake CEO works today.
So let's take Frank Abagnale Jr., the man from Catch Me If You Can.
Of course.
This guy, before he was even old enough to legally buy a drink in some places, was a one-man crime wave.
He posed as a Pan Am pilot.
A pilot, forged millions in checks. He worked as a doctor supervising residents.
A doctor, really?
And even taught classes as a lawyer.
That Pan Am detail is what always gets me. It just speaks to the power of pure performance.
Right.
Pan Am, it was pioneered by people like Juan Trippe. It was golden age of travel.
They debuted the Boeing 747.
They basically invented modern global tourism. So for Abagnale to just walk into an organization with that much history and trust with zero qualifications.
It shows a massive breakdown in just basic human critical thinking.
Totally.
And his tools. They weren't servers or algorithms. It was confidence.
And a uniform.
A uniform that gave him instant visual authority, forged paper documents.
And he exploited that one big psychological shortcut.
The assumption that if someone looks the part,
they are the part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knew that most people, especially people in authority, they don't want to seem rude by questioning someone in a uniform.
That assumption is such a critical vulnerability, and you see it get even bigger in the case of Anthony Gignac.
The fake Saudi prince.
Right, who spent decades pretending to be a major royal. He wasn't using a pilot uniform.
No, he was performing immense wealth.
He sold the illusion by just embodying all the symbols. The luxury cars, private jets, the entourage, the expensive watch, and just that sheer arrogance you'd expect.
And wealthy investors. They believed him. Instantly.
No due diligence.
None. They trusted the symbols. They trusted the $100,000 watch way more than they trusted their own need to, verify anything.
The need to be associated with that power just blinded them.
But maybe the most emotionally devastating example is Frederick Bourdon.
Oh, that case is something else.
His impersonations weren't about money or status. They were deeply personal. So manipulative.
He would insert himself into grieving families.
Pretending to be their missing child, sometimes years after they'd disappeared.
And the power of that desire for hope, for closure, it was so strong that families would just ignore obvious inconsistencies.
Like a different accent, different eye color.
A huge age gap that made zero sense.
Just proves that the impersonator's ultimate weapon isn't logic. It's that deep, desperate human need for an emotional resolution.
So when you put all that history together, the pattern is crystal clear. Impersonation works not just because we blindly trust what we see.
But because these con artists learned how to exploit our emotional vulnerabilities.
Greed, ambition, the need for closure.
And crucially, that all creates speed. The second a victim gets emotional, they stop pausing to think, to verify.
And that idea of speed, that's the perfect segue.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. How has AI given scammers tools that the old con artists could only have dreamed of?
Right.
We've gone from forged paper and just good acting skills to the full automation of deception at a massive scale.
The difference is that AI allows for these hyper-specific, targeted attacks that are just impossible to defend against with traditional methods.
Look at the corporate cases. They show how easily all the safeguards can just be blown apart.
Can you walk us through that CEO voice clone case?
Yeah.
Because that is truly chilling.
It is. In that case, criminals used AI to clone a CEO's voice. I mean, down to the identical cadence, the specific accent.
Even the pauses.
Even the natural pauses we all use when we're thinking. And they used it to trick an executive into urgently sending $243,000 to a fake supplier.
And the victim wasn't tricked by a bad connection or a foreign accent. They were tricked by the exact voice of their boss.
And if that isn't scary enough, look at the case in Hong Kong. A company lost over 25 million US dollars.
Oh.
An employee joined a video call. It looked like a normal meeting with a bunch of senior executives and colleagues.
Okay.
But every single person on that call, their faces, their voices, their hand movements,
No.
was a synthetically generated, hyper-realistic deepfake.
That's terrifying. That fundamentally breaks our definition of a trusted interaction.
It does.
The employee was doing everything right. They were verifying identities in a formal meeting with multiple colleagues. If an entire video call can be a fake, I mean, how do you maintain any kind of trust?
The tech's ability to create a fake environment now just completely outpaces our ability to detect it in real time.
Yeah.
And this isn't just for million-dollar heists. AI is trickling down into the everyday scams, too. Makes them way more convincing.
Like the hi mum scams.
Exactly. A criminal pretends to be your kid with a broken phone, needs money fast. But now the text is perfectly worded, grammatically flawless. It uses the right emojis because an LLM wrote it.
Right. Scammers don't need the charisma of an Abignale anymore. They just need to run software.
Software that generates convincing text, specific clone voices, professional fake websites.
Complete with fake security certificates and spoof domains. It just lowers the bar for entry into effective crime so much.
And this rapid adoption of tech for good and for bad, it's all happening inside this broader, really anxious global context. It's reshaping policy, it's reshaping economics.
Yeah, this isn't just about scams. It's about a shift in our trust in institutions.
And policymakers are scrambling.
They are. And some of the reactions really show how serious the risk is perceived to be. Look at Australia.
What are they doing?
They've proposed a world-first law to ban social media. We're talking Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitch, for all kids under 16.
That is a huge step. What's the implication there?
Well, the implication is profound. A government is basically admitting that the online world is so high risk, so full of synthetic content and misinformation.
That they can't rely on just teaching kids to be safe anymore.
Exactly. They're saying education and platform self-regulation have failed. Their solution is restriction. It's a shocking admission that the internet, as it is now, has a broken trust model.
And that anxiety, it's not just about online safety. It's hitting the economy.
Yeah.
Especially in places you'd think AI would be helping.
Mm-hmm.
A PwC boss came out and said that AI will lead to fewer entry-level jobs, fewer graduate positions.
And that is a very specific point of anxiety. Historically, those jobs in law, accounting, consulting, they were the stepping stone.
Social mobility.
Right. If AI just automates all the low-hanging fruit, the research, the drafting, it pulls the ladder up for new graduates. It could have huge long-term effects on diversity and economic stratification.
And we see that same fear in creative fields. A Capers report found that about half of novelists surveyed are worried AI could entirely replace their work.
It's an authenticity crisis for the creative community.
Yeah.
If an algorithm can write a decent novel in a few days, what's the value of humans spending a year on one? It makes you wonder where authenticity even comes from anymore.
And even inside the AI industry, there's no agreement, which just makes the public feel more at risk.
Right. One of the godfathers of AI just quit Meta after 12 years
What?
because of fundamental disagreements with other engineers about the technology's safety and its future.
So if the pioneers who built this stuff can't even agree on how to handle it safely.
It just reinforces the public's fear that this growth is happening without any unified safety standards. It makes the threat of AI deception feel so much more real.
So if the scams are getting faster and smarter and more specific, what does this all mean for you, the average person, just trying to stay safe?
Well, we said that the old scams rely on speed and emotion.
Right, so we need a way to slow that critical moment down.
The stakes are incredibly high, and the old defenses are gone. We know criminals stole over $1 trillion in a single year from these scams.
The trillion.
And their recovery rate is abysmal. Only about 4% of victims ever get their money back.
So the old advice, like, check for spelling errors.
It's completely obsolete when AI is writing the message. Prevention is the only thing that matters now.
This is where we have to look at new tools, fighting modern fire with modern fire. And our sources highlight a tool called TrustCheck AI, which is built to be that pause button.
And the key is that it's designed for how you actually live. It's a mobile-only app launching mid-2025 made to instantly verify suspicious texts, screenshots, images, links.
The things you see on your phone every day.
In seconds.
So it's like a personal, objective, second set of eyes before you click something.
Exactly. And the analysis it runs is fascinating because it goes right after those psychological tactics we talked about.
So it's not just looking for a virus.
No, it targets the whole fraud blueprint. It detects emotional manipulation cues, those urgent action triggers, deepfake indicators in images, unusual phrasing.
Spoofed domains, phishing patterns.
It's analyzing the intent of the message, not just the grammar.
And it delivers all that complex analysis, which would take a human forever to figure out, into a really simple color-coded rating. Low, medium, or high risk.
With a plain language explanation of why it flagged the content.
And the beauty of that is its accessibility. You don't need to be a tech expert.
No, you just screenshot a weird text, scan it, and get an objective analysis instantly. And it's affordable, $3.99 a month after a few free scans, so the defense is actually available to people.
Ultimately, a tool like that is designed to enhance your judgment.
Right.
Right, not replace it. It's about getting that objective check against these deception patterns.
Because the scammers rely on speed and emotion to rush you into a mistake.
Verification, applied right away, breaks their spell.
That pause, that single moment of objective scrutiny, that is the most powerful tool we have.
So this deep dive has really shown us the evolution of deception. From Frank Abagnale with his simple uniform to AI-cloned voices costing companies millions.
The underlying psychological triggers haven't changed. Our reliance on authority, the rush of emotion.
That's all the same. But the speed and the sophistication of the attack have grown exponentially.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, we want to leave you with one final thought to consider as you navigate this new digital world. We often talk about how simple habits in adulthood, like a brisk 15-minute walk or getting regular sleep, can set up a lifelong legacy of health into your 70s.
Right.
But new research is showing the surprising, permanent impact of what enters a baby's gut in the first few days after birth, their first exposure to the world's microbiome.
The idea that our earliest biology has a lifelong legacy.
Exactly. And that raises a really important question for all of us. In a world that's becoming saturated with AI-driven deception and synthetic reality, what lifelong legacy will constant early exposure to engineered falsehoods have on our collective, maybe even our evolutionary, ability to trust each other, to tell what's authentic from what's fake?
That's something to think about.
Something to mull over as you scrutinize your next email or scroll through your feed today.